The learning target: for a natural logarithm function, determine the inverse function and the domain and range of both functions. And again, there's nothing to it but to do it, so let's go straight to the blackboard. Example 1. We have f of x equals 3 minus ln x. And it's clear here that the domain is going to be 0 to infinity, but the range is not necessarily clear. Sometimes it's just better to go ahead and find both the function and then find the inverse function before you start worrying about the domain and range. So let's find the inverse function. So y equals 3 minus ln x, and I'm going to bring ln x to the left side. Ln x equals what, 3 minus y, and I get that x equals e to the 3 minus y, and we have our inverse function f inverse of y equals e to the 3 minus y. Now looking at these, let's see, the domain of f is pretty clear. We know that we can't plug 0 or negative numbers into the natural log function, so we know the domain is what, 0 to infinity. Okay, and let's look at the domain of f inverse is clear as well. We have e to the 3 minus y, so we can put anything in there we want. So that's going to be all real numbers. Thus, we know that the range of f must be all real numbers, and we know the domain. Oops, not the domain. Break out the old eraser. We know the range of f inverse is the domain of my original function, 0 to infinity. And that's what we find the formula for f inverse and state the domain and range of f inverse. Okay, good. So now let's go to the next example. Example 2. Have something popping up on me here. What is that? Okay, so we have f of x equals 4 minus 2 e to the 8x. So again, it's clear what my domain is here for f, but I'm not exactly sure what the range is. The easiest way is just go ahead and find the inverse. So y equals 4 minus 2e to the 8x. And I need to solve for x, so I'm going to bring the 2e to the 8x. I like to have the thing I'm solving for on the left hand side, equals 4 minus y. And so e to the 8x equals what, 2 minus 1/2 y. And now taking the natural log of both sides, on the left hand side, when I take the natural log, the 8x will drop down. So 8x equals the ln of 2 minus 1/2 y. And so we have that our inverse function, we need to divide both sides by 8, and we get the inverse function will be f inverse of y equals 1/8 times the ln of 2 minus 1/2 y. Okay, so now let's figure out what the domain and range are for both functions. So it's clear that the domain of f is all real numbers, because there's no problem when we're putting things in the exponent of e. We can put anything we want there. So what we need to see is what is the domain of f inverse. Let me go down here on the side, and what I want to do, the only issue is that I know 0, anything less than or equal to 0 can't go into that natural log function. So for the inverse down here, if we look here, here's the issue. So I need to know when is 2 minus 1/2 y, I need that to be bigger than 0. So what's that going to give me? That y must be bigger than, oops, I'm going to divide by, hold on, this is tricky. So y must be less than, y must be less than 4. That is, send the negative 2 over and I get negative 1/2 y is bigger than a negative 2, and then multiply both sides by a negative 2. And I get y is less than, remember when you multiply by a negative number with an inequality, you must flip the sign. So y is less than 4. So that's going to give me that the domain of f inverse is going to be negative infinity to 4. So now I have everything I need. That means the range of f is a negative infinity to 4, and the domain of f inverse is going to be the range of my original function. Oops. Let me do the eraser here. I'm goofing up. You guys probably caught my mistake. So the range of f inverse is going to be the domain of my original function. So R. So there's all the answers. Okay. Now that's a tough one. Make sure you look at that, rewind it, make sure you understand it. Come see me before the test if you have any questions. Okay. Thank you.